to find a way back, but we're here to see if they can do it. Welcome back, folks, to Stream C. Game 1 went the way of XG, but Breaky, your Hon boys aren't out yet. These are best of twos.
It is a best of two. I mean, no matter what happens in the series, again, I go back to it. It's a long, long series ahead of us here, but long day, couple of days even for these teams. But yeah, it's obviously a good start for Xtreme Gaming on the other side of it. And they are going to have the second and third pick this time around, though, which, you know, means where's a Marcy going to end up, as not surprising, was a big impact in that first game. And, well, XG's like, yeah, we don't want to give up Marcy. We're going to ban Marcy.
Wow, look at all these picks we've got. Wait a second. We're messing with you, folks. That's game 1. We'll get you game 2. Game 2, there is going to be no Marcy. I'm hearing rumors that it's been banned. As it quite rightly should be. It's all right. There we go. Now you can see it correctly. No new heroes. Primal Beast and Marcy both gone. Undying, of course, once again, not going to be allowed. A little bit more interesting. Psych is the Enigma. I'd say is interesting, but let's be real, right? I think it's top 10 most picked at the moment. So. Yeah. Definitely a popular one. Love the ET game
plays
for
it well, yeah. Yeah, so ET going to be the first pick. But yeah, again, Zion plays it also very well. So I'm really not surprised. I think they banned it the last game as well with that first ban. So take a look at, I assume they're huddling around one of the computers there. not AFK. There we go.
Yeah, so it's quite nice to see the ET come out. I think that got banned last game by XG, if I'm not mistaken. So Liquid definitely wanted it. I just think ET's in a really good place right now. With the heroes that get picked, it's such a great enabler. It's hard to think of many drafts that can't benefit from its existence. So always a good opener for your drafts.
Yeah, Boxy likely the player to play it here for Team Liquid, be in their position 4. I mean, a chance that Instania could end up in his hands, but I would guess that Boxy again gonna be the one to play it for them. But Xtreme Gaming's putting a bit of thought here.
Yo, I want to go back to the chair, like the empty chairs. Actually, the empty chairs were kind of more pog, right? Like, I just want to. You never know, right? Okay, I'm reaching here. I may have accidentally opened the Twitch chat, so I thought we were back at the empty chairs. Ignore me. In a moment.
No, we got. I believe that's old 11, right? Just chilling.
Yeah,
thinking about what. And well, speaking of old 11, it's going to be the old 11 hero most likely. They go back to the Centaur.
Do you think maybe he was doing those exercises I was talking about, right? When you're dead, just go and, like, you know, flex, work out, come back. I mean, he's not dead yet, but I do like they start off with the Centaur, though. Like you mentioned, Old 11 played it in the last game. Had a really great lane, actually. Like, it looked like it should have been more or less just an exchange of farm. Ended up being Io getting pressured pretty hard early on, but then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Matsuma Man slips up, dies once, and things snowball. And, oh, well, I mentioned the Pony Express. It's coming back again. Apparently, we're going for the full horse draft. Is that even possible in Dota 2?
I'm trying to think now. Like, I'm sitting here like, I mean...
There's Chaos Knight? I think it is. Like, there's Chaos Knight, Centaur, Leshrac.
God, it's one of those I need the hero list in front of me.
Ooh, you might have to, be a bit more lenient and just give mount-based. Because if you give mount-based, that's easy, right? You can give, like, Shen.
Sure.
Wait, no, Cole. There's Cole. Yeah, Cole's got a pony as well. So we're just one short of true pony riders.
Kind of is. I call him that guy.
Yeah, you just that guy that turns up to like one of those lance duels riding a cow.
Yeah, there you go.
You're like, this is my steed.
So Leshrac, though, of course, paparazzi for Leshrac, likely a combo there. But now I was going to say, so for Team Liquid, this is interesting because they could go the IO direction themselves now with this second pick, or potentially ban it if they're not going to pick it up. And, well, they go Morphling. Kind of one of those, you know, well, hey, worked out well for you last game, so we'll gladly take Morphling for ourselves. The immediate ban of the Ancient Apparition, of course, coming out shortly after. But, yeah, so Liquid picking up the Morphling. For them, I believe it's going to be more of the Matoma Man hero, of course.
And there's the magnificent beast himself. I honestly think he went for the right, kind of facial hair. Like, it's the thinking, stroking, moustache.
Yeah,
I wish I had one that fabulous. Just works, but...
Yeah, no.
Oh, man. So I'm
kind of looking... I can't grow that out, no.
No? Have you tried?
Oh. I have tried, and it doesn't work on me. But I got the beard thing going on at least.
Yeah, you got something. Like, you know what, for me, when I was younger, like, I dreamed of being able to have, like, the Gillette, stubble. I couldn't get the Gillette stubble. We've all been there. You know, we get baited in. We see people doing perfect things we think we do themselves. I'm sure plenty of us are guilty of that after we watch these Dota games, the way they play out. But looking at these picks, opening up, I mean, Morphling ET is just a good, strong lane. I think it actually plays and complements each other really well as the game goes on. What I want to see is this kind of multifaceted approach that we saw out of XG. If you think back to when they picked that Morphling and what they followed up with, right, with the Leshrac, the IO, and banning out the AA, like all of this came together. So I'm curious where the extra layer of sustainability or maybe independence is for Liquid's draft.
Now, I feel like there's some, as usual with the drafting, there is some interesting mind games coming out here in that IO hasn't been banned yet. No, so Liquid's choosing not to ban the IO themselves, leave it open. Now, Xtreme Gaming could pick it third as a result. Obviously, if they're not planning, maybe they're ban it here. But the point is, I feel like Xtreme, though, is pretty already set up to deal with, especially with the Centaur, that Stampede. Hell, we saw last game, the Stampede value, it allows not only Centaur, but of course the whole team to ideally get in those back lines and get on the target, like the IO, for example. So if they don't pick it up here, I feel like they're pretty confident that they can deal with it if need be, if Liquid was to pick it up themselves. But a lot of thought going into this third pick now.
So opening up, I think XG have given themselves kind of good front runners. They could benefit from having some sort of buffer or sustain for the track, right? You mentioned the IO, that is of course still available to them as courtesy. It's just a curious thought of whether they go for that. Or if we could see something like the Omni Knight. Of course, Undying is not going to ever be allowed through here. Tusk has kind of been on the upward swing, and I don't mind it as kind of a save type hero, but I think you just want something that buffs you up instead, and that's why IO feels better.
So again, it goes back to that's where Liquid, maybe they would have wanted to pick up for themselves. They took kind of the risk of leaving it open to perhaps get it, but Xtreme's not going to even give them that chance. They are going to take it as the third pick. So they once again have the IL Leshrac combo with the Centaur. So again, very familiar lineup for the side of Xtreme. Naturally, they're not going to be able to pick up the Morphling, as that's on the side of Liquid, but certainly other cores that they can go for. Again, they already have the pairing with the IO and the Leshrac. So if it's now Liquid, they don't have, I wouldn't say they have the tools yet to necessarily deal with this IO support specifically and the protection that he has currently. So, needing to get that presence of being able to pick off the IO in the back lines is going to be important. But that goes back to bans as well. Something like a Bat Rider, for example, banned by Xtreme Gaming, not going to be an option. So
the interesting part to me is, like, if you think to game one, XG opened with Marcy, and I think it was maybe the Centaur IO. Weirdly enough, like, even when the Marcy's banned out, this is an opener that still feels like better. The cool thing about what they've done is they got 2 stuns to open up with, so going IO feels okay. I think Liquid were going to struggle if they went for the IO simply because they had ET, they had Morphling. They didn't really have lockdown. I do like the Snapfire pick, though. It gives them some good lane poke. It gives them some good setup. Would love to see this put with a second stun on the offlane, so Zai can easily be fed some kills courtesy of Boxy's assistance.
Yeah, certainly potential there. So I kind of go back to, who's going to play that Elder Titan, perhaps leaning more towards a Insania Elder Titan now with Snapfire in the hands of Boxy, as you're getting at. Ooh, that's a Pudge. I suppose that's a hero that certainly can be, frankly, just annoying across the board to deal with, and definitely annoying for the IO if he gets a blink, for example, or simply even a hook to help deal with him, and naturally just that tanky presence. So good old Pudge coming out for Team Liquid.
It feels good to say Pudge isn't a meme pick anymore, right? It's kind of cool how more recently Pudge has found ways to not just be what are you doing type hero, right? Because if you go back to, let's say, TI9 before, it's kind of like, we'd have to go back to Pudge Dendy Fountain Hook days to think that Pudge could work at TI. Just feels good, man. Just feels good to see a hero that has felt dead and competitive for a long time find his place.
I will say, when I really was kind of refreshing myself with the Dota scene, months ago, it was a surprise to start seeing Pudge like this position 1 Pudge especially coming about, but with that new Ags effect and just how massive he gets, that new his new passive as well. It is understandable. He just becomes this really tanky presence that Xtreme Gaming is going to have to figure out how to deal with now. So I guess Shadow Shaman Okay, fourth pick Shadow Shaman, so certainly bringing plenty of crowd control to the table. They weren't necessarily lacking the crowd control, but always nice to have a bit more, especially when you're up against the likes of a Morphling. So does give them some more push presence as well with those wards, of course.
5 seconds.
Yeah, so they have the multiple layers there, right? The Leshrac can take lanes, the Shadow Shaman can take lanes. I think it also gives them a lot more control around Roche now. Right now, Liquid do have good counters to Roche, but you can now burst it down pretty quickly, courtesy of the Shaman as well. They're just going to need some sort of right-clicking hero that can get through it for their carry. That is the final thing they need to figure out. Looking at what they're up against here, thinking about what's still on the menu. Trying to think if anything kind of pops out in my brain here. Like, Tiny... I'm not sure if I like +1 Tiny against this.
No.
No.
You know, it would be fun. I know OD has been seeing those buffs lately. I'm just saying. No,
10 seconds.
In the +1? Yeah, I could see it. Like, it's not bad. It's just... Yeah, it's in this game, right? It's like, oh, I've Astral to save my teammate. And they have an Elder Stomp, and they have an Elder Titan who's stomping. And they have a Pudge who's hooking. It's like, what have I done?
It would be pretty bad, this game.
But it would make for an interesting series, right?
Sure,
there you go.
If you want to put it that way. But Slark ban by Team Liquid, that actually could have been a very valuable pickup for Xtreme, so understandable why they decided to take him out. So no Slark here as well.
Just a really annoying hero.
Certainly needed one that could right click. And well, we have seen the occasional Shadow Fiend in the safe lane.
Yeah.
A possibility, so maybe one that comes to mind.
You could potentially flex the Lesh into the 1 roll. If you thought you'd get more farm there, like it just gets him to his Bloodstone timing, and he's still pretty strong, and it means the IO can easily sync up with him on the lane. It's not the worst of lanes because they have a lot of movement speed, right? Leshrac is one of the fastest heroes, Disco Penny goes Zoom. So you can easily gap close on more kind of lofty heroes, right? Let's say if this, for example, ends up being a Pudge free. I'm expecting this to probably be the Pudge 1, maybe the Morphling 2. Which means we need maybe an offlaner still for Liquid. They are, of course, going to have to reveal first. And it's going to be the Axe. So Axe Snapfire. I mentioned I wanted something that could work with the Snap to brawl in the offlane, and this is definitely ticking that box.
Monkey King. Choose your hero.
Ooh, okay, so Monkey King going to be the pick for Xtreme, and that will be in the hands of Lou at position 1. A very confident Monkey King pickup as well. For them. But yeah, so you talk about the Zai going the Axe direction, pairing up with the Snapfire in that off lane. But Monkey King is certainly a brawler laner, right? So he's not necessarily going to be the most concerned that he has that to go up against. That with the Shadow Shaman would be my guess up there. So they could certainly fight up there.
Yeah, so the key here for Liquid on that offlane is they want to try and put as much pressure on before level 3. If the Monkey King gets 2 points in the passive, like it might be very annoying to try and shift away from him. But I do think this Monkey King overall in the game has a lot of impact. It's a really good solution to the Pudge, like long term. There's a lot of heroes that you can stick on top of. Can be a little bit risky, but I like the fact that XG being a game up have gone for something that has the potential to dominate very quickly in the game and snowball. I think what they've noticed here is they could get a lot done with Lou not being present in the early game, but now they found a way to bring him into it as well. So curious to see what XG can do.
Yeah. Really what stands out to me on the side of Liquid especially is just, I know I use this word a lot, but I think it really goes to this game, is the tankiness across the board. Of course, even Morphling has potential to be very, very, very difficult to kill. So that's where that lockdown certainly going to come into play. More of the ganking, individual ganks going to be beneficial for the side of Xtreme Gaming as well, and going to try to rely on that IO relocate with the Leshrac as you'd expect. But game number 2, we are loading in, and we once again have some predictions to do before we get into the actual game. But that's what really matters.
Look at you. You have conviction getting your 3 points. I'm just going to click them all randomly. I mean, I just keep getting an unknown error. I'm done. It won't let me. Let's just focus on the game.
It's not working for you.
Nah. So I can bring us in with the early analysis while you get the key important thing sorted, Breaky, which is your 3 points. But no, opening up like in this game, like looking at the lanes, the interesting part to me is as you mentioned, like how tanky Liquid's heroes are. I'll never forget hearing the infamous words of a coach say, you can either be good at the game or pick strength heroes. And Liquid, they definitely have the potential to be good, right? And make it a TI. So clearly, if you just pick strength heroes on top of that, you're overpowered, right?
Suppose it's as simple as that sometimes, yeah. Maybe that's the mentality that they chose to go with this game. No, but yeah, it's natural order, of course, is going to be a big factor as well in front of the Elder Titan throughout the game, something to really benefit from, especially that morphling and how fast he's going to be able to burst people down in the later game stages with his right clicks coming out. But I do got to say, I like Xtreme Gaming when it comes to their laning phase as well as just their aggressive potential play to come. And with the way they were playing last game, more specifically in the early to mid game stage, I mean, the late game it got a little crazy and Liquid started coming back. But that's a hook, by the way. PYW, you might be in trouble.
No, he's gonna get away. It's gonna hurt a little. Like, they were not after a hero there; they were after the rune. You can tell by how far away Insania already was. He's like, I'm going to the lane. Whoops! Didn't expect that to turn into something. But just a little bit annoying to start off with. PYW will quickly regen up and should be able to apply a decent amount of pressure here. Is it double melee lane, and Shaman does have incredibly high base damage.
Sealed 11 just immediately starts trading right clicks with a pudge to which he responds with a hook to the face. Easiest hook for the life of Matoma Man as PYW. Gonna get some shackles, aka tongue-tied action coming out. That's a kind of a throwback right there.
Kind of rough when you start with like shackles here. Right? It makes sense you've got double stun, but now you just don't have the burst to necessarily secure range creeps. But I think the reason he does this is because there's a very big fear that these two heroes are just going to run at him. Still, if it's the shackles going out on the Elder Titan, the Matuma Man can always interrupt it with his hook, and vice versa, Insania with the stomp once he has two.
Yeah, there's also the presence of, wants to make sure either shock, potential to push the lane a little bit more. So, yeah, go in the shackles earlier on to, as you said, as almost maybe a bit of a defensive measure, but also have to have that offensive prowess, especially if the hook comes out like right there. But Matoma Man giving the creep, saving it for that at that point. Insania going to harass a little bit. Natural spirit.
Mike's getting roughed up a little bit at the start of this laning phase. I think it's mainly because you need to get level 3, 4, but Leshrac is just a very good bully, so not the funnest of starts. 4 denies already for Disco Pony, but Insania. Oh, that win lace, that movement speed getting him away from imminent death there.
Well, we saw level 2 being hit by Shadow Shaman. He actually gets it before the Centaur even, the first one in the lane. Well, maybe put at the same time, but they almost killed Insania as a result of that. Leveling up the Ether Shock, but I mentioned the Wind Lace helping to allow Elder Titan to escape there and to survive. Our bottom lane action, how is Monkey King doing so far? He's 7-2 against the 7-2 Axe, so, well, that's pretty even. To say so myself, IO constantly being harassed by that battle hunger, but getting it taken off.
Yeah, I think level 2 is where it gets a bit spooky in favor of Liquid. XG have a more delay time. Once they get 2 points in Jingu, that's when Axe can have a hard time. That's when Boxy doesn't really want to cookie people in. But before that, Liquid maybe have an opportunity to be annoying here.
We do see the ward also behind the tower at the bottom lane. So we got top lane, though, and that's where the camera's at currently, and continuing to look at the back and forth harassment. But yeah, again, that bottom lane, you have Axe specifically benefiting from that ward behind the tower. Maybe going to help get some creep holes going and some just vision over there as the levels start adding up to be able to feel protected that he can do those pulls, have those counter helixes proc, and get some safe farm. Expect to see more of that as the lane continues to happen. But yeah, mid lane, Mickey, I mean, it's morphling after all, so it continues to be a bit lower, but he knows his limits, at least you like to think.
I'd like to think that maybe you didn't have to deal with Disco Pony being a pain in your ass 2 games in a row, but it's already starting to feel that way. Top of the CS, 14-5, not slowing down anytime soon, and because he keeps you low on HP, you can't necessarily roll in and try to deny these clarities either. So definitely not a fun start for Mickey, but if you can survive the lane phase, it's what you can do later that's going to matter here.
Right now, the creep farm, honestly, very even in amongst all the lanes. There's not any obvious winners at this point.
No, it should be slow when you look at the heroes, right? Until level 3 is where you can maybe start to see some kills coming out. Outside of Couriers, which, good God, die! Leave them alone!
Well, what did I talk about? This ward over here. I didn't even mention the Courier Snipe potential as a result, too, but there you go. Courier's going down left and right. And there were some gloves on the career from Monkey King, so a bit of unfortunate circumstance that Lou's having to deal with there. A little bit behind in farm as a result for the time being, but yeah, Zai, he's going to do what a level 3 Axe does best and starts to really do some jungle pulling now, pulling the creep waves. And this is where it becomes a bit more awkward for XG. But again, Monkey King, those Jingu stacks can certainly potentially go for a battle, especially if they get a TP in if they feel necessary. But for now, going to go for last hits under the tower.
I don't know. Like, you can't do it then, right? Because you've got level 3. This is meant to be a moment where you see now the gloves are off, but you just lost them on the courier, so it just doesn't work anymore. And DY, nice jump in there, caught away from the wave, no assistance coming. First blood drawn, and that's what I was waiting for, to see that kind of moment coming out. And I like the fact that Zai is just continuously doing this. Like, he doesn't want to be anywhere near the MK. And if you think about it, what does an IO do to stop an Axe? Are you going to right-click him and let him farm faster?
No, yeah, you don't even try, as I was going to TP back mid and do the bottle trade there. But it is kind of like a timber saw mentality, right? You kind of just almost accept that it's going to be happening. Focusing on your own farm if you're the Monkey King and do the best that you can do there, knowing that Axe is going to have a decent start. You know, an eventual gank perhaps, maybe if the Shadow Shaman looks to rotate. We're at 5.5 minutes currently. So those rotations can definitely become more of a reality. But I don't know if XG is going to focus too many resources into trying to stop this early Zai farm for the time being.
Usually XG tend to rotate for both runes around the 6 minutes, so I think they're going to try to look to make something happen on the mid-morph. It's a little bit difficult these days though. Mickey up at level 5. If he gets the waveform out, he's safe as can be, but if you catch him initially with the shackles, he's going to be a dead man. Luckily for him, he's able to move away quick enough, and looks like they are going to posture around the runes. DY does get forced to pick it up, though. So Paparazzi not getting what he wanted out of this.
Yeah, not the end of the world, but still pretty frustrating for him, but good job. By Boxy able to pick it up right in front as mentioned. Can you see Zai continuing to farm at the bottom, but old 11.
Oh, sadness.
Trying to live the easy hook setup. Well played by Insanius to set up the stop.
You just got to type ease there, right? I mean, you know, like, ignore the fact that the opponent was stunned. You hit your hooks. That's all that matters. Stunned in the mid
We haven't seen a lot of taunts this game, have we? Or like more so...
No, actually. What? We've seen none. Wait,
it's too early in the morning, I guess, for that.
Either that, or is it like, has production muted that? No, they wouldn't do that to us. They wouldn't deprive us. I need to know what the cost is, Breaky, okay?
Got you. That's fine. Eventually it'll come out. Mickey? He's, again, fine. He's just turning into that.
Isn't it fun? Isn't it fun being a play-by-play trying to commentate the lane of a Morphling? Like, oh, watching the health bars.
Like, always thinking there's potential. Oh, speaking of potential, PYW's in trouble here. Gonna shackle. Yeah, old 11 gonna stop after the fact, and Matoma Man's gonna fall. So there's that shackle coming into play.
Dude, level 1 rot looks so pathetic, doesn't it? You feel like he should be dying there 100%, and then you realize just how much of the raw damage coming out is the right clicks of Pudge. Great reaction by PYW to stand his ground and turn what should have been his death into a kill for his team.
Well, 2-1 start for Liquid, and you know, really, this is definitely more of the Liquid that I expect to see in the presence of. It feels like a lot of the games they do win their lanes, and they do very well, at least in laning phase. Now, I mean, overall, again, XG is still doing good as well, and so I don't even know if you can necessarily say they're winning the laning phase. It's just a game throughout that, you know, becomes a little bit more of the factor. But we have some mid lane action once again as we're hitting 8 minutes. Snapfire, he could be in trouble.
Shackle, can't pick up the invis. Stomp interrupts the stomp coming the other way and enables the kill on the snap. So good maneuver in there. XG once again prioritizing those runes and now looking to turn it into a kill into another one as Zai gets caught in the bot lane. 4 heroes surrounding him. Won't even get a chance to use the cool. Nice maneuvering out of XG.
Those are just those world-class moments that you just got to appreciate from top-tier Dota. A couple of things. One, Paparazzi stunning the Morphling on the uphill, knowing they had the kill guaranteed onto the Snapfire, and then taking the Invis rune, bottling it up in front of him as a result of that. It was just so well played on his part. Obviously, the supporting cast doing plenty as well. And then the ability to chase after the Axe, transition that perfectly into that farmed Axe kill, as we've been stressing this game. I mean, again, they're going to let Zai do his thing until eventually, and that was that eventually, KP.
Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of feeling like you see the final piece of cake, you look at it, you say you want to eat it. Like, oh, you want this piece of cake? I'm just going to eat it right in front of you there. As we're going to see Sharm get munched on. The bigger kills coming maybe top here. However, turnaround, Boxy. Thought he could set up a kill. A little bit of miscoordination there. Matumba Man says, I'm helping, but not really.
Yeah, it's we've all been there. It's definitely a hook he certainly would want back. But hey, in the heat of the moment, win for the play to try to save his teammate. Unfortunately, just a little bit off. And in the end, Snapfire is run down. So, again, good job for XG. But big picture, this is still a very even game in terms of net worth. And despite that death on Axe, he comes back up. He's already finished his Vanguard, has his phase boots, and is looking to build a Blink next, as you would expect. So I still think the timing of Zai is feeling pretty good for the time being, at least. But the top lane, meanwhile, going to be pressured by the side of Xtreme Gaming, and this should be a free tier 1 for them.
Yeah, I think the big difference between game 1 and 2 here is that Zai's pick is getting pressure like it did in game 1, but the difference is like the hero picked by XG was intended to be pressure-oriented early on, right? The Monkey King's meant to bully these melee laners. It's a good thing that Zai's done, completely evading that, identifying the IO can't enable these kills whatsoever. Eventually, you are going to have to address the MK. This hero does still scale, but I like that they're avoiding the pitfall of allowing this hero to snowball.
And no surprise, we're going to be seeing the Echo Saber from Monkey King as far as farm priority for him. Even showing some insight as far as what he's thinking. Of course, VKP on the docket as well. So Monkey King getting the farm that he's looking for. We do see at the top lane a little bit of harassment on Old 11, and more so he's found the other team with his own early Vanguard. So speaking of being tanky, I don't think they're going to try to make a play off of this, but well, okay, dismember.
Okay.
Not sure what the ultimate game plan is.
Oh, Tumblr Soy, there we go. That was the plan. Baited the team to rotate. We just weren't thinking in Matumba form. Waveform comes through though. Oh, the stomp before he can get the mirrored one out. Follow-up still going to be there, courtesy of the cookie enabling them. Now, Shackles aren't going to come out quick enough. Matumba Man trapped in for the moment. Will eventually fall, but the setup is beautiful. 4 heroes are going to die on the side of XG, and all you had to lose was a punch.
I mean, you take that every day of the week, even position 1, a 4-for-1, absolutely a big fight for Team Liquid. And yeah, you're right. Definitely that's where that whole team communication certainly comes into play. Because, you know, in a lot of games, you're like, what the hell is this Pudge doing right here? But they were obviously on point in terms of the response. I will say it was certainly a bit risky because they were banking on the fact that Xtreme Gaming wasn't necessarily just right there to protect the Centaur. Vision certainly helped with that, and they were a little bit too far away. By the time Xtreme Gaming got there, they overcommitted for the response, and Liquid certainly benefited. But XG, they're pissed, and they want something out of this.
But that almost turned 1 kill into 2 there, trying to save a hero. Looks like Insane should be able to back away just in time. But good that they're finding a way to get Lu active in this game. Monkey King is a hero that can brawl now the Echo Saber's online, and by choosing to do so, it's going to unlock these win conditions, these early towers that they need to get rid of.
That's going to be their second tier 1 tower going down, mid-tier 1. No kills on towers just yet for Team Liquid. So good advantage there for XG. The hook, swing and a miss. I got a creep, but tower falls, and it's retreat time now for Team Liquid. Not looking to commit a fight, at least for the time being. Leshrac has his Hood of Defiance. We do see the progress being made towards the Axe, by the way, from Matumba Man. He's got the point booster, no surprise, pretty much rushing right into it.
And that's the beauty of playing carry Pudge, by the way, Breaky, is you miss a hook, but you hit a creep. Well, I'm farming, still getting the gold I need. You know, so did he really miss with the hook?
Oh no, I missed the hero, darn, okay.
What a shame, I got paid.
Yeah.
Because you got to think big carry brain here, right? Like, if you hook the hero, how much longer does it take to kill the hero versus a creep?
Blink on Matumba Man, by the way, or excuse me, on Zai, playing the Axe, and they are setting up here in the mid lane. Mickey, going to be on the tower. Got revealed as mentioned. They did not want to give this up.
This is very confident Old 11 to stand here like this. Very risky as well. The one creep is while saving him from risk here. They will be able to get the tower. Look to back up here. Hex going to come out. Jump in with the cool onto 2 from Zai. Wukongs goes down. But the kiss is coming out. It's a kiss farewell to XG's members here. Old 11 moving in. Axe so ridiculously tanky in the midst of all this. All XG can do is retreat.
Big pulling from Axe to start that off and allow with the successful fight, for Team Liquid on top of the tower kill. And Monkey King, he got the Wukongs down, but it didn't matter as Mickey get the free kill on DY, and they're going to get another on Centaur. So even 2 more coming out of that. It felt like that should not have happened if you're XG, but it did. And Liquid even that much more happy after the fight. Now looking at the 3K net worth lead. But yeah, Monkey King, the Wukong's response was great, but he just had to basically play defensive that whole time. He wasn't able to brawl nearly as much as he wanted to, but it all goes back to the Axe initiation, right? They had to accept the early farm, knowing that this was going to be of a potential, and well, Zai is making them pay right now.
Yeah, Zai has had a great start to this game, right? He got to have his game for free, and now he's got a hero that can more easily enable these fights compared to the Visage that's more kind of on the outer lane style of play, right? And the cool thing is, the Wukongs you mentioned, it's irrelevant here because of that detail. They picked strength heroes. They're basically all strength. Even the Morphling is kind of pseudo-strength if he wants to be. It's very difficult to find cheap, quick kills, courtesy of Wukong zonal control. And you saw how trivial it looked when they fought in that area. Later on in the game, it will be impactful, but no doubt on the Team Liquid, they have this timing around the 20-25 minute mark where they should be strongest, this type of draft, and they're on course to hit it.
Well, Shackles on Axe, this would be a big kill, and I mean, they're getting...
Team Liquid, they have this timing around the 20-25 minute mark where they should be strongest, this type of draft, and they're on course to hit it.
Well, Shackles on Axe, this would be a big kill, and I mean, they're getting it. You see, and Sandy or Boxy to me has to pretty much just wave goodbye, knowing that his teammate was a lost cause at that point. So good catch though from XG, taking advantage of the nighttime and the lack of uphill vision from Liquid to secure that kill onto the key target. That's X. But I guess I say key target now almost quietly, I suppose. Morphling, Mickey, he's farming away. He's now taking over as top net worth, and he has a Mage Slayer, by the way, to go with that Dragonlance now.
I think this is a nice pivot in terms of their approach to what XG have. They've noticed the healing isn't as high as it was last game, because last game it was Leshrac, Io, and the Morphling. So this time they kind of pivot and say, okay, instead of worrying about the fact they heal up, what if we just take the damage away? And the cool thing is actually by reducing the damage that Leshrac can do, you're actually offsetting the lifesteal he's going to get from Bloodstone as well. So Mage Slayer is definitely a low-key, super effective item up against this hero.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. So absolutely a big pickup for the side of Liquid. That Ag's about 100 gold away from Matama Man. So he's going to have it before another fight, and then that enhanced Rot becomes online. And this is where the core Pudge especially really kicks in amongst these fights. So they're going to have that to benefit from. Is Liquid doing a good job of splitting some farm amongst their cores, as Axe, I believe he might have finished his blade mail, going to be delivered out to him shortly. So another item to take advantage of for them. On the other side, Maelstrom finished for Monkey King, which not only is a good farming tool, but definitely some decent damage assistant in these fights that you will like to have, but still a lot of work to be done. And I think that now the BKB, again, it's interesting though, isn't it? Because especially when you're up against an Axe on the other side, it's always one of those items that you feel like you have to get it against everyone else, but the Axe is still, you don't care, taunts you and still keeps you in place.
Yeah, the issue with the Axe is actually multifaceted in this game. I think that where Axes fail is when they have to be the primary initiator. You've got ET, you've got Pudge, you've got heroes to set up, and then you can follow up, which is nice. On top of that, the Axe is actually a big part of why the IO isn't working this game. If you try to reload, he can just predictably wait and then grab 2 heroes for the price of 1. I think that's actually why Paparazzi hasn't really been as impactful this game compared to the last one.
That was so interesting right there. They got scanned, by the way, and what I mean by the XG scanned Liquid smoking over. So under the trees went Monkey King to scout it out, but Liquid didn't get close enough, so they weren't exposed. And now they're going for Road Shot. We got a big clash coming out. Old 11, he's running in, KP.
He's going to get stunned up, slowed down, needs to get out of dodge quickly here. He used the Stampede a little bit too late, and he's going to die as a result. Nice play by Mika. Is going to follow up, moving in the Wukongs, doesn't give a damn. Zai's going to go down. Morph able to sidestep and chase onto PYW. Matumman still living for it all, has got the Dismember, is here to play, will take out the MK, and Paparazzi alone versus the world here, and it looks like the world is going to brunt you down, but the hook comes through to save him, courtesy of a Team Liquid member.
Oh no, I mean, I know Liquid still wins the fight big time, but that is honestly a big miskill for the side of Liquid. Unfortunate timing of the hook. I mean, again, it happened, so really unfortunate, but you move on from it. Again, big picture, Liquid absolutely satisfied with the fight. They did burn the Aegis for that, but what I also noticed in that fight too, Morphling actually sitting on his Morph ability until after the Aegis was used, but it just didn't matter. I mean, once again, this presence of the Wukongs, you talked about it, the strength, the tankiness, the strength heroes of the side of Liquid, they don't really feel all concerned when they're in the midst of it. And another example of why that's the case.
Yeah, and to your point around what you specifically saying with the morph, like he waits to morph until he sees Leshrac and sees her initiating. Like that stun, just clipping onto the centaur, offset everything. If that centaur gets out the stampede, they have a reset opportunity. And if it wasn't for the assistance of Matumba Man, XG would be fully wiped here and probably losing a lot more of the map than they currently are.
Point being brought up. I mean, Leshrac was even hasted as well, so the chances of maybe catching him still a little slimmer, but either way, doesn't matter. He got away. Yeah. And now a 5,000 net worth lead Liquid is sitting on, but that's not going to deter XG from still feeling like they can play fairly aggressive posture. Is making their way up here to the top lane. Shadow Shaman is looking to finish.
That's going to be freebie. Oh, the hook! Matumba Man, he makes up for the earlier one, at least for a second, but not long enough. Stampede will come through. They will still kill off the ET. However, Kisses are coming in for some vengeance, and Old 11, because he's a Stampede already, he is just a slow slug waiting to be crushed by the boot of Mickey.
I mean, that's a case of save your teammate syndrome, and yes, you'd rather have your supports die for your Monkey and Core, but you even see right there the Courier going to be cut down by Psy as a result of using that Colon Blade cooldown. But, I mean, they were there very late. Monkey seemed like he was actually already good at that point, but so a bit of a scattered play from the side of Xtreme Gaming. But once again, Liquid there to capitalize, take advantage. And I mean, dare I say, I keep going back to this Axe and the factor that he's able to have this game. He's working on his own BKB, which is to be coming out in the near future. And it does feel like the pure damage output of this side of XG is of concern at this point, because you know, like last game where there was that weaker back line that they would stampede on, get on top of and just wreck. That doesn't exist in this game. Keep going back to that. So needing to figure out how best to address this. And I guess it kind of goes back to what I said from the beginning, that they need to get the individual pickoffs. And it starts with a play like this of a 4-player smoke bottom.
Turn around. They are going to find Matumba Man to open up on, the tankiest member. Don't want to fully commit here. Just poke and prod and slowly take him down. It looks like he should be able to do so. Zai jumping in with the call going to come out though. And it looks like in the meantime, Mickey is stunned up. Wukong's going to be dropped down and Morphling needs to retreat. They at least kill off the IO, but now they're going to pay a price. Stuns are out once again on a Morph, and it looks like the mid laner of Liquid cannot get away.
It may took them a while to kill both the Pudge and the Morphling, but they did it, and that's exactly what XG needs to do. And even with the TPs coming in, they had enough lockdown. They were able to zone out the supporting cast very effectively, and it started with the Pudge kill. I mean, without Pudge, there is a lot of that presence missing from Liquid in terms of being able to create chaos, you could say, in those back lines of the side of XG. So good capitalize from Xtreme Gaming. They got the 2 heroes, the Morphling, of course, being the key. How about this on the Centaur? They're going to pull him back in, but
he's not allowed to leave, okay? He can't play the game. That's what's happening here. Look at the battle hunger plus the whip. The slow... Oh my God, what is this? They're like, Morphling's up in 10. They actually forced the reload out from that. And they're going to go.
I mean, why? Yeah, of course they're going to go. They're going to try to body them away because IO, he's going to be relocating back in here in a second. Comes back in, there's a dismember. So free kill.
Wow. I don't know. Like, it's impressive the way Liquid turned what should have been nothing into something. And now they are milking it. Once again, Centaur cannot move and play the game. No Stampede for 20, which means no way out of this pain.
I love it. The call into the pullback to the team support. It's so pretty to watch.
He's got another one.
Very well played. Is he going to get another? No, it's not cool.
Yeah,
the kiss is coming down, and he's dead. Yeah, he's dead. The kisses are enough. It's just kill after kill after kill. 3 in a row for Liquid, and now they're going for the tier 2.
What just happened? What just happened in this game? Liquid just lost a fight bot. Just want to recall that for people. They just lost a fight, but it doesn't look like it. This is the Congo line of death out of XG, and they look like headless chickens.
I don't know why XG is even like that, right? Why is Shadow Shaman even remotely close at that point?
Why is anyone anywhere right now, Breaky? Like, what was this sequence of events?
Yeah, it just feels like a bit of a lapse there from XG, and obviously, again, credit to Liquid, Zai leading the way with these Berserker Call initiations, but definitely a bit of a question mark plays from the side of XG. But I mean, hey, they're back up now. Shadow Shaman will be back up in 10 and be good to go, I suppose. But they got to beat KP on Leshrac. They got to beat KP on Monkey King. So KP, again, great items to have, and they still will be very useful in many cases. But there are still ways to lock you down. Again, the Axe being the biggest factor. Just remember, of course, going through it as well.
That's my scary concern, is considering what I just watched Zai do, I don't think your BKBs matter unless you hit them before you get called, because the follow-up stuns are going to stop you from doing anything. So it's more or less going to force immediate BKB usages, and from there, if Zai can walk away, you just reset and go in 10 seconds later. Smoke movement on the prowl, and it looks like Zai's going to lead the way in the high ground.
Get this Leshrac. BKB is going to be activated immediately, though, so to that point, yeah, he gets it off in time, and Zai wasn't able to call. It was a good job with the Sheik. Now the Shackle's locking him. Morphling in the midst of the Wilcox man, and he's just dead. They couldn't keep him alive on the side of Liquid, and now it's in retreat mode. Zai, BKB's going to wear off soon. The chase is on for XG. The boundless strike on both, and both Axe and the other Titan will fall as well. That backfired big time.
And what timing as well. We're just 40 seconds out from Roche potentially coming out. So it might have actually lined up perfectly for XG. They're at least going to turn towards mid first, courtesy of the fact they do have great push here. But now they'll be able to take map control. And this is where it could get uncomfortable. If there's a quick spawn on Roche, Liquid could find themselves rushing out into XG vision. So right now, if you're Liquid, basically cross your fingers and pray to RNGesus that it's going to be a long wait for Roshan.
KP, I don't know if we have a replay for that or not, but can we talk about the insane reaction of the Hex of Shadow Shaman that last fight? If it wasn't for that Hex on the Axe, that fight is completely different because he wasn't able to get the call off. The BKB was then activated by Leshrac, and that's what started the ultimate turnaround in that fight. So absolutely crazy. You just got to respect the quickness of these players, and of course you wouldn't expect anything less, I suppose, when you're dealing with TI-11 play right here, but definitely a reason why they won it, and they closed that gap with the net worth lead.
And it's a fair point, Breaky. And the other cool thing, like we're going to see it here, right here, jumps in, immediate Hex, like there's no gap at all. Paparazzi gets the BKB off as well, which we say he's going to be forced to do either way, but it means he gets to use it instead. And Matsuma, man, is it me or is this Pudge kind of, like, he's feeling irrelevant? It feels like Zai is doing the work of two heroes, and as is typical with the history of Dota 2, Pudge is doing the work of none, which is, by the way, I'm not flaming him. I just think it's like it's hard for Pudge to find that relevance in this game, right?
No, yeah, to the point. I mean, the Pudge isn't, he's of course not going to be a hero that, you know, he's not going to be the right-click dealer. He's not going to take over the game for you, at least in that sense. He just, it gets him that early ags. I know we talked about the earlier, especially playing that position 1. It allows him to get the early ags. And, you know, a blink in this case, really get these items that much more faster to then be that bully in these fights and allow Morphling in this case to, you know, sit back and be comfortable and do his thing. So to your point, though, I mean, it seems like that there is maybe a little bit lacking from him in the presence of these fights. But his own BKB will certainly help with that, too.
Yeah, I think it's, if the fights take a while and you can just like strip member after member, that's when the Pudge looks good. But XG have adapted, and it feels like they're playing a lot harder on tempo. They're trying to go in, they're trying to actually commit fully. They're not playing this poke prod style that enables Team Liquid's draft. And we saw that come into the picture when we saw the Conga line of death earlier, right? Team Liquid want that style of Dota. They don't necessarily want this 5-on-5 clash where XG have decent positioning, because with these heroes, they can run you through. Actually, like, here's an interesting thought for you, Breaky. Like, we saw that weird reload in the river earlier on, but I wanted to get onto this a little bit earlier. Have you noticed how the IO doesn't necessarily feel that impactful this game?
Especially when it comes to the relocate presence, I think a lot of that has to do with Liquid and the way they're playing, just very team-oriented. Again, like Xtreme Gaming, they need to pick off individuals, right? Like, they need to catch them isolated. Liquid understands that. They're not giving them a lot of that opportunity. Now, Pudge push now bottom lane. As I say this, you know, somewhat showing by himself, but are you really going to overcommit onto a Pudge kills? probably not going to be the case, right?
Sorry, Breaky. He's getting there. The Roshan's almost in the box. We'll get him there by the second series. I love that Roshan. It's just a good piece. But no, so to kind of dissect the reasoning, in fact, we'll have to pause that because it might be a fight. Oh, the stop! Old 11 couldn't blink forward, but they'll at least find a kill on the snap. Looks like the rest of Liquid should get away. But back to that IO, because I think it's very important here. The reload plays look non-existent or bad simply because, like, if you pull yourself and another hero away from the fight, probably far away from the fight, Liquid have this style of draft that want to chase you, and they can very easily chase you and take you one by one. But right now, they're going to take two. Jump in. Counter initiation, though. Old 11.
Got the one kill immediately on the Shadow Shaman. He buys back quickly, though, and XG willing to fight this still. Mickey standing his ground, though, in the midst of this fight. But he right-clicked in, and there's that Matoma Man Pudge in the back lines, just creating that chaos. Takes out both the Leshrac and the Eye. The Wukong's put down, but it was so damn late, and honestly, not the greatest positioning. Morphling able to kind of skirt around it, but as I say this, he's now somewhat trapped in the wards, fighting up against Lulu, manning up, go for the kill on a Morphling, pulling those safe from Matoma Man. It's ain't over yet.
I take it back. Matuma Man, the Pudge does work. Mickey trying to move away, should be able to get out safety. It looks like a TP comes out from Old 11 as well, but Liquid still getting the better side of that fight. Zai, once again, with the secondary initiation, just ensuring that XG have no mobility in these fights.
Wow. I mean, yeah, Liquid again, the net worth slightly growing as a result of that. And they're going to go right into Roshan more importantly, though. This is going to be the second Roshan kill. Shards to be picked up for them as well. Morphling was very, very, very close to death right there. But yet again, it comes down to the axe initiation. If he's able to get that call off, really specifically on this Leshrac seems to be the key. Holding him in place and allowing for the follow-up to be there, then they are in a very good spot to have a good time in these fights. What's up?
I mean, that kind of looked like the right treat when I looked at the drift back, like the particle effect. Maybe I'm just imagining things like the particle effect made that look like that should have hit. That must have been incredibly close. That hook from Pudge, he barely missed the Monkey King in the trees. But so I think we've got a few seconds to quickly dissect the rest of the IO because I think it's important. You can see he's still got reload off cooldown. And it's simply, you can't pull a player away because this lineup will chase you down. You also can't aggressively reload because what you mentioned earlier, like there's no squishy target for you to kill in this game anymore. And also Team Liquid, to their credit, are pretty clustered for the most, right? They're very rarely being split apart across the map. It feels like they're committing to 1 or 2 lanes max, and it's usually the 2 conjoined lanes next to each other. So the reinforcements are always close by.
Yeah, and even going further into that, you know, looking in hindsight at this point, you really could appreciate Liquid's decision to leave the IO open almost as a bait pick for Xtreme Gaming, which obviously they did with that third pick to pair up with the Leshrac once again. But yeah, he is not having anywhere close to the same impact that he was having in the previous game. So clearly Liquid had a confident game plan of how to deal with it this time around, and it's showing out for them. Now we're in that phase of the game, though, where both teams content on really avoiding one another for the time being. Gonna push their own towers as I say this. Pudge blinking away as Monkey King checking things out. But of course, that Aegis on Morphling has a lot of time. We're looking at 3.5 minutes for Mickey, and we're gonna see a smoke.
Let's see what they can make happen. Matuma Man dangling in the mid lane, but you don't want to initiate on a Pudge. This guy is pretty bulky, and you know if you get a little bit too close, that AoE slow is going to cripple you on the spot. But they are rotating around onto the ancient area of the Radiant, moving north side. Keep in mind that tier 1 is still up, so it's a little bit of a fragile thread in the needle to get through here. Scan does come out, but it seems that XG has also sniffed out the rotation.
Yeah. Spider sense is tingling, whatever you want to call it. Of course, you don't see anyone on the map currently. You get a little bit scared, and that's pretty much what takes place there for Xtreme Gaming. So they all get out to safety. It's going to be fine. Snapfire with the Solar Crest, by the way. We see him applying that to his Morphling, so a nice little buff that Morphling will get to benefit from, and they're going to come up here at 33 minutes. They're going to now take up this tier 1 top tower, and that's pretty important. Of course, some Roshan positioning control that Team Liquid takes away from the side of XG, so nice to have that at least. They're trying to hunt this Monkey King, but he's too slippery.
Yeah, it's more that it enables them to play around the Radiant Ancient area, whereas when that tier 1's there, like when they last went in there, it was kind of dangerous, right? Because if you do get pinched on both sides, even if you kill a hero, buyback comes out, there's multiple TP points. So good they finally got rid of that. Of course, for Roshan, it's not going to matter for a few more minutes. They've still got the Aegis to work with. But in the meantime, IO Do we even register it happened? I mean, I'm more heartbroken about the Courier than an IO dying.
I honestly caught, and that's actually a pretty big deal more than you would think, because he had a gem that he was basically doing some counter work there with the Courier.
Oh.
Yeah, he had a gem. He was going on the uphill down here at the Dire Ancients, and literally just walked right into Dismember for Pudge. There was no hook or anything. It's just like, oh, that's a Pudge, and hello, and then goodbye, in a bad way for him. So unfortunate there.
Gambling, couldn't find the Monkey King, but he's always hot in his tail. Really feels like Lou has done a good job of contesting on farm in a game where he's not necessarily free to just do what he wants where he wants. So it's not easy to play Monkey King in a game like this when you don't have map control.
Monkey King making his way with his own Mage Slayer, by the way, in the full Mjolnir finish over to his jungle, avoiding the team of Liquid, especially with that Aegis. Now it's about a minute remaining on it, but yeah, I'm loving to see the Solar Crest buff that's constantly being applied to Mickey, that he's benefiting from, both the armor increase as well as that attack speed increase, certainly liking. Also, I believe he's the one that got the shard, or no, maybe he purchased it himself. But either way, he has a shard to go with the X Scepter effect as well on the Morphling. A shard on Snapfire, also worth pointing out if we haven't yet. Ooh, some big item pickups there, though.
Ooh. Yeah, Scotty. Scotty's actually really good in this game, considering how tanky all the heroes on the other side are. It's really going to screw the Morphling especially. I think a good Wukongs could start to turn this game, because now it starts to feel like Monkey King isn't just irrelevant. I am a little bit spooked still. It's the Matumba Man factor. Like, if he hooks you out of that Wukongs, there's a big question mark over whether you could even fight anymore.
Liquid, 18 seconds on the Aegis, so it's kind of an awkward timing here if you're Liquid. You don't want to overcommit, of course, on the Morphling at this point. Gonna show presence, really keep Xtreme Gaming at bay, or maybe go for a pull-in. Oh, look at that push back, though, just back and forth, but getting pulled and pushed every which way. And ultimately a BKB pop and nothing happens.
Yeah, just trying to get a little bit greedy at the end of the Aegis. That's a pretty crafty move, because you wouldn't expect your opponent to make that jump with 10 seconds left on an Aegis. But now they have to fully retreat. I love the fact they give respect over, that XG want to fight right, because there's an immediate smoke out of the base. You don't want to be stuck in here. Typically, teams will look to make this maneuver as soon as the Aegis runs out, because it's a bit too cocky without that second life for the alternative team to feel like they can control the entire map at once.
Absolutely. Yeah, so certainly a smart decision here from XG, but Liquid, again, playing it smart. They are all sticking together. Now make their way to the bottom lane. You see that's actually going to be a Radiant scan. Hitting nothing for the side of XG, so they're just as lost as far as where Liquid is currently, but they could be finding each other soon.
Oh, pings came out. Immediate jump away. They know Axe is here, though, and they don't want to walk into him. Zaya's been a permanent thorn in their side in this game so far. Old 11 looking to move in. Shiva's Matumba Man in with a jump. The Hex comes out to interrupt him, kissing the backline. Wukongs goes down. Stampede to try and reset and get a better position in here, but the Shaman still can't survive through it. Mickey looking for targets. Paparazzi running off to the side. Is going to stand his ground to fight, but Cookie to toss him away and out of range of the Monkey King. Stun interruption. The Splitter through gets rid of MK. Paparazzi now in trouble. The Splitter follow-up from the Morphling shuts him down, and Liquid are dominating this fight.
That Earth Splitter, absolutely crazy damage. The natural order effect certainly kicking in as well from the other Titan, but the key for Liquid in that fight, I think, was the reset. And certainly it looked like XG actually was looking great and early on in that fight, because Zai was not able to get a good initiation off. He was almost dead from the beginning of that fight. He was playing run and survive mode. Leshrac was running him down, but weren't able to kill him. And eventually Monkey King kind of just got kited, frankly. He had trouble sitting on targets himself and able to do a bit of damage. And, well, the dismember eventually happened, and we saw the Earth Splitter, and that kind of explains itself. So, similar to last game, it really is just kind of great reset here coming out in these fights. Liquid, especially understanding how they need to win a fight after the initiation took place, and they did it appropriately.
Beautifully done as well. And now, in this situation, Monkey King didn't expect that, clearly. I mean, you never expect to die that way. Honestly, that ruptured an eardrum, that split was so damn good. But the damage that came out from that, wiping him, he didn't have buyback. So this is 2 lanes. And Liquid get out free without any real punishment for being here.
Yeah. Well, they deserve it, right? You know, that's what happens when you win a massive fight like that. Xtreme Gaming can only just sit back and really watch as a majority of their base, it feels like it's taken out. They got the melee racks, they took a 12th rack spot him, and now it's take the jungle away from XG if you're Liquid, and also farm those tier 4 items, which we're at 38.5 minutes now into this game. So tier 4 items going to start becoming that reality as well. We already see a Spell Prism being dropped to be used for the side of XG at least, but teams now content on farming those for the time being. Roshan, about a minute before he spawns. That will be the third one.
And you know what? Like maybe you could justify Midas to be getting these neutrals quicker, but I want to highlight something for all those people in my pub games that haven't learned yet. Look at this, 2 games in, some of the best players in the world, not a single Midas breaky. Can we get over this in our pub games, please?
Don't get ahead of yourself. There's going to be Midases plenty in this event.
Oh my god, this is so furious. BYW, this is infuriating right now. Mickey, some of the best players in the world, not a single Midas breaky. Can we get over this in our pub games, please?
Don't get ahead of yourself. There's going to be Midases plenty in this event.
Oh my god, this is so furious. BYW, this is infuriating right now. Mickey moves in, stun comes out, the Shrek stuck on the spot for half the Stampede, gets the BKB out, but it's too little too late. Liquid are just out of control in this game, and XG have no way to recover these fights.
It's just, he's just dead. This is, yeah, Liquid is making a statement here in game number 2 right now. At 11, he'll be fine at least, but it's over. Yeah, GG, that's it. And this is going to finish in a tied series, of course, 2-game series. So that's it between these 2 teams right now. But nice response from Liquid here in game 2 and making it 1-1 in the end.
Yeah. Great drafting, great approach to this mid game as well. I think a really big turning point in this, where it was kind of even and then it quickly backfired, is that fight that started around the Dire Ancients, if you remember, where the Centaur basically couldn't move more than 200 units for half